Is it Keane? Is that how you say it? 'Cause I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
debating.
yeah. It's my middle name. It's my great-grandmother's maiden name.
Oh, that's so nice. So we're here with Colin, who is the designer and a million other things, I'm sure, of Keane jewelry, which is mostly glass blown,
Primarily, yeah.
very low waste,
Yeah,
just banana peels.
pretty much.
What is the bananas used for? Just for fueling you?
Eating, yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. I was like,
raising my potassium levels.
So that you can keep blowing glass. Is there a special name for glass blowers?
No, I mean, glass blowing traditionally is more of working out of a furnace. What I do is lamp working or flame working.
Okay.
So really the only difference is um, the raw material, instead of coming in a crucible, like a big honey pot, comes in either tubes or rods, and you are not reheating in a chamber, you're working on a bench burner.
Ooh, is that more dangerous?
No, it's different because when you're working out of the furnace, you work on a bench and you have something to kind of keep everything level. Whereas with this, you are working, your hands are your bench. So when you're moving them, you have to move them in perfect unison, as well as making sure the heat is consistent across the surface of the glass.
How much practice have you had? How many years have you been doing this?
23. Dad retired from being a zookeeper and decided to open a little import shop. Cool. Some of the artisans they were working with in Italy were glass maestros in Murano, who were starting. I was going to
ask if you'd been there.
Yeah. So they were starting workshop programs. They offered to take me off my parents' hands for the summer and teach me to blow glass. And so, you know, then I found a place locally where I was able to go and kind of get the most out of the studying I would do in Italy.
Cool. It's an island off of Venice, correct?
Yeah.
And there's 2 islands off of Venice from my memory, and one of them does lace and one of them does glass blowing.
Yeah, the lace is Burano, and that's Murano.
Yeah. Cool. So how long were you there?
The programs were about a month long. So,
oh my gosh. I feel like you have some fun stories.
Yes, my parents made a great choice.
Your collections are really colorful and really fun, and maybe the word I would use would be like somewhat maybe whimsical.
Sure.
What's your main inspiration for your collections?
I mean, every season has a different theme, or, you know, so it's always kind of different. For the fall collection, we had just moved into this new space. We're trying to find new inspiration. We've been staring at a fence and the impound lot for the last 10 years in our old studio. And when we moved in here, when all the lights are out, you have the skyline of downtown Brooklyn. And so you had all these, you know, different color windows, like black frame windows with different kind of colors. And so that kind of became the starting point for this collection. Just like all the outlines and the different color pieces.
Like this collection, right? With the black pieces. These are so beautiful. And so are these all glass?
Yep.
And so do you do 2 pieces?
So this is 3 pieces.
Ooh.
So it's the centerpiece, the piece around, and then the band.
So cool. What's your favorite thing to make?
Anything that doesn't have the necessary outcome.
So you just want to be like, let's find out.
Well, I mean, I spend a lot of my time doing production. So, you know, I have certain size, certain quality that I have to maintain, which, you know, doing the same thing over and over, it requires a certain mental gymnastics.
Yeah.
So whenever I can just kind of work without any constraints is generally when I'm enjoying working the most.
Yeah, is that when you feel like you're most creative? Is when you just like get to sit in the studio and like play?
Yeah. And I mean, most of our collections kind of, you know, they obviously start with a concept in mind, but a lot of times it's a concept in conjunction with just kind of literally fucking around with material, and then kind of going back and forth, and, you know, generally wherever I think I'm gonna end up is not where we end up. So just being kind of open to say, okay, this is what I think would be good, and then accepting what is actually better in the end.
Right. So your process is really like trial and error.
Kind of. Elephants are pretty impressive.
They are, and like it's so.
I mean, all of them.
It's true. The zoo in Toronto is really cool because they have a huge conservation project, like a Noah's Ark, basically, where they're freezing as much animal sperm and eggs as they can in case animals go extinct, so they can regenerate them. But the problem with elephant sperm is the minute it gets cold, it dies. So they haven't been able to successfully save their sperm, which is really sad because they're very quickly becoming extinct.
Yeah.
And so it's like this race to try and save regenerative material from them before they go extinct. I wanted to show these rods. So these are the rods that you use, like you were saying earlier. And then how do you color these? Do they come colored or do you do it yourself?
So that is all color.
Ooh, and that's all colored glass?
Yeah.
And you buy that from a manufacturer in the colors you want, and then you like bend it to your will?
Yeah, exactly.
That's really cool. And then you were telling me earlier about how these little pieces here often get thrown out in some factories, but you've found a way to like be inspired by that.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of started. It's a good technical exercise, and it's also, I don't like throwing stuff away. So it's always kind of fun. I mean, most of our collections kind of started with playing with refuse or like things that would be byproducts of production. So it's not uncommon to just kind of play around with material that doesn't have any practical future and find one for it.
That's really cool. Because you're so sustainably driven, even if it's kind of accidental maybe, or was it one of your ethos when you started your brand was to like be a more sustainable glass company or glass jewelry?
No, I mean, it's intentional. And I mean, like, including, the way we structure our like e-com, everything's made to order. So we're not, it does disincentivize some consumers, but hopefully that shifts them to wholesale partners. But we're never overproducing and then having to go on markdown. We don't do markdowns. We don't do sales. So, that is, for some people it makes it a little less accessible, but we also try and keep the price point, very fair. So, by not overproducing, all of this stuff has a cost on the environment. So not having to do that to then sell it at markdown is, really the only thing I can do that's legitimately kind of helpful.
No, I think that's very helpful. I think that you sound like you have a strong grasp on like how to make the market more sustainable, because we all know fashion is one of the least sustainable, like second only to gas and oil, I think, industries. I read that somewhere and I was like, wow, that's bleak. I wanted to ask you, because earlier I was talking about how like it's glass, so as someone who breaks things a lot, you were telling me that your stuff is not as breakable as one would think, but also repairable. So do you guys have a repair service where like if I was like, hey, I broke this ring, I can send it back to you and you guys would repair it for me?
Yeah, I don't give out my phone number, but you can email.
I won't tell anyone your phone number.
And yeah, I mean, we offer the repairs for free. Again, to just kind of, glass is not necessarily a material everyone's worn. So, buying something, breaking it, and then just feeling like you're out money would potentially disincentivize people from continuing to explore a material like that. And, when you offer not only accessible price point, but free repair, just pay the shipping. 90% of the time, those people then understand how to take care of their stuff.
Yeah, and it's very sustainable to offer a repair system because it incentivizes people to buy something they'll love that they'll have forever. And that if it does break, it is repairable, and it's something that you'll like keep and cherish because you can repair it. I love that. I think that's a really cool circular system that you've created.
So those are lab-grown opals.
Oh, that's so cool. Do you work with a lot of stones?
Not really. I mean, these are, you know, natural opals are not. They're uh, they would just basically vaporize if you try and encase them in glass.
Okay.
So these are basically chemically identical to a natural opal, minus the water content.
Okay.
They take like 14 to 18 months to grow in a lab. So they're not, it's not like a resin base or anything like that. So there are only a handful of stones, natural stones, that are actually compatible.
These really remind me of mid-century modern design.
Oh yeah.
Like mid-century modern windows and kind of like Calder, like his mobiles.
Sure.
They remind me of those. And I love those mobiles.
Yeah, for me, they remind me of that and like ski goggles.
Yes, totally like ski goggles too.
Like these rings are really fun to make. They're, basically taking traditional like prong settings that you would find in regular metal jewelry.
Yeah, like it looks like a giant ruby, but like cool and new and contemporary.
Yeah.
Oh my God, your family must be like, what are we getting for Christmas every year? Like, what are you making us?
Well, I'm pretty sure my brother has demanded no more things I made him. If I don't really have a starting point, just trying to start playing with material, find inspiration. We just kind of have to shut my brain off a little bit.